Hey everyone, today we're going to be sending some comics into CGC to have them graded. I'm going to pay for the pressing service as well. Hopefully I'll get a little bit of a lift out of them, or at minimum kind of solidify what I think is already their grade. So a couple of these have some spine ticks that are non-color breaking that I think can press out. So we'll see. It's a little bit of a test for me to see if that is worth it. So I'll go through the comics and then stay tuned for another video, I guess a month and a half from now, when these bad boys come back, and let's see what happens. So first one up is Marvel Team Up Spider-Man Mockingbird. This is the first appearance of Mockingbird. I think that this is a potential for 9/8. Now you see a little bit of defects in the corners, like there. And down here, it's more of a, sorry for the focus, more of a little bit of a printing and a little bit of a roll on that corner, which I think would press out. Now I've sent a couple of these Mockingbirds in before. I have gotten a 9/8 in similar conditions, so hopefully this one also comes back a 9/8. Next up, we have Malibu Sun number 13. This is, I guess, technically not Spawn's first appearance, but what people would consider probably his most sought after what his most sought after appearance is. Now this one I know was going to grade a little bit less. Let me move that one out of the way. I know it's going to grade a little bit less. The hope is that the pressing service will get most of the spine ticks out. Now, there are a couple of spine ticks that have color breaks, so clearly those are not going to come out, but maybe just elevated overall. So I think the condition that this is in at the moment is probably an 8. With pressing, I'm hoping to get a 9 or a little bit higher, but we'll see. So corners, edges look pretty good. This is when you get to the spine, you see some of the spine ticks. You can clearly see a couple are color breaking. Some of these are not. It's a little bit hard to tell with the light shining, but the two right there are actually not color breaking. They're just reflective in the light. But corner's pretty good. Waviness is on the bag, actually, not on the comic itself. So it's a little bit deceiving. But other than that, looks pretty good. Back cover, about the same as far as what you can tell with the spine ticks. So next is Batgirl 23. Joshua Middleton variant. I think this is probably one of the better covers to come out of a, I'll say, relatively new artist as far as what people have seen. He's been around for a little bit longer, but as far as on everyone's radar. So this one I'm hoping is a 9/8. I think everything on here is pretty solid. A little bit of a production issue down there. There aren't any visible spine ticks, but you know what? Just in case there are, I'm going to make sure that they are pressed out. Next up is Sandman number 1. So this one's a little bit odd. This is more of a test on my end to kind of see what happens. I've seen 9/8s all over the place as far as conditions concerned, where the spine at the bend has some cracking. The corners are a little more rounded. This was not the most dependable comic coming out of the presses and delivered into comic shops, and I know that CGC and CBCS are fairly lenient towards that. This issue seems to be a lot more lenient than some others of its age. So I'm hoping that this, believe it or not, will come back a 9/8. Don't laugh, because I can obviously tell that there's a little bit of of corner issue. Clearly the spine has the fold cracking. However, a little bit of corner up there. However, no spine ticks. So a pressing certainly will get out any that I cannot see, but this is a pretty clean copy. Now, I'm not all that confident in this one, so it's kind of just a test, again, considering that I've seen a lot just come back in just varying degrees of condition. So hoping that this one comes back a 9.8. But again, we will find out. All right, so the next two are actually the same comic, but I have two of the What If number 10s. The first appearance of Jane Foster as Thor. So it's not her first appearance, but as Thor. I know it's not in the comic book continuity, but or the Marvel Universe continuity. But so this one, I'm not really sure. There's a whole lot of defects on it. So again, pretty good corner. Little bit of an issue there. No spine ticks visibly. Now there's a perfect bound book, so you can see the edge is a little more square. It does have staples in here. It's like feel one staple, another staple up here. So the staples are in there, but it's a perfect bound book. But again, corner looks pretty nice. I'm fairly confident that this has potential for being a 9.8, which would be one heck of a graded comic, but even still, if it came back a 9.6, it's still looking pretty good. Let me move that aside. And then here's the other one that I have. Again, pretty solid issue all around. So those are what I'm sending into CGC again to have pressed. Not sure if some of these will actually benefit from the pressing, but considering especially these two here, the What If 10s, if you're going to get those graded, it's a big difference if you can eke out a 9.8 on them. So I'm going to spend the extra $12 per comic here and see what happens. So check back for a follow-up in about a month and a half, fingers crossed, and we'll see what kind of grades these had. All right, thanks for watching.